Good morning from beautiful Brisbane, Australia. How are you this morning? And welcome to Complex PTSD TV. Sorry I'm late this morning. I've been trying to work out all the technical issues on my computer, so today we've got straight from the phone. Now, if you're here for the first time, say g'day and welcome to our wonderful global family. It's a really great place to do life together. If you're here for the replay, do a hashtag replay. And if you're here, pardon me, and like to know when I go live, remember to hit like or subscribe, either for when the latest video is out or for when I go live. So I'm working on it. This is a work in progress. Good morning, Charlotte. How are you? Let me know how you're going. As you can see, we're on the last 4 weeks of summer here. We're just about dying, okay? So I wanted to share with you some information this morning about our thoughts, because whilst for those of us with complex PTSD, our thoughts aren't the be-all and end-all of change. So think back about 30 odd years ago when, you know, the catch cry was change your thoughts, change your life. And I used to think, listen, if changing my thoughts was all this was going to take, I'd have done it by now. And so that led me down an ever-increasing path of questioning, okay? Now, good morning, Diana. So this morning I want to share with you how we can grab hold of one negative thought in the day and then begin to question it in a manner that's not no guilt, no shame, no, we're pursuing it with a passion to know what's driving the thought. Good morning, Laura. Sorry, it's just really, really hot here today. Not only that, I did gym. And look, can I just say, as an aside to the thought process this morning, when I first started gym, and we're looking around about six years ago now, I never perspired at all. Like, I just didn't. It didn't happen. I didn't know why. It wasn't as though I wasn't working out. I just didn't have this constant perspiration happening. And now that I've done so much work over this last year, you know, developing trauma-informed movement and doing it and helping my brain, and in the last couple of weeks, the ashwagandha, oh my goodness, the changes that have been made, like internally for me, are just mind-boggling. Like, I don't normally think like this, but last night I realised I actually have fingernails. Like, I'm not talking that I don't have fingernails, but my fingernails never last this long. It's just like, oh wow. So this morning I was perspiring profusely, it's dripping down my back and everywhere, and I was just like, oh, thank goodness, finally all the toxic stuff's starting to go. So with our thoughts, yeah, that's it, Diana. That's it in a nutshell. We just couldn't release anything. I mean, if you look at the book by Dr. Pardon me, slow down, Linda. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, where the body keeps the score, and how much we've held on to, not because we intended to, but through the set of circumstances that we were raised with. And not just what we were raised with, but what we were handed down through epigenetics as well. It's like, wow. So we, you know, I can guarantee that doing this work does work. So I wanted to share with you some information around thoughts, so that today, so even if you do it just for today and take this one step, it can begin to change up our life. Holding our breath. Oh yeah. Hands up everybody who is in fawn mode and didn't realise it most of their life. Okay, so we want to remember that we have 70,000 thoughts or upwards a day. So we're not going to get a hold of all of them, obviously, or we'd be sitting here just, I don't know, in a chair, mute, going, oh, there's another thought, there's another thought. And they are really quick. They happen fast. So what we need to do is build a process of self-reflection around them because then we begin to see what the patterns are as well. So we want to say, do I believe this thought? Now, one of the simplest ways to do this is think of how am I talking to myself in relation to how other people speak about me. So one of my changing moments, if you were, defining moments, was when I could walk and talk, and I could cook. I could remember how to cook. But I was sitting at my computer one day and there was a lot of negativity around the internet, and I just went, I've lived like that all my life, believing the negative things that people have said about me. But then there's positive things that people have said about me. Now, believing the negative things doesn't work because it's made me feel, absolute crap. And, then I start going into relationships with people who have victim mentality, And victim mentality is simply, they can't see a way through, or they may not want to see a way through. It serves them to stay in their pain. Their identity is wrapped up in their pain, rather than their identity being fully developed in who I am. So we want to grab hold of one of those thoughts and say, do I believe the thought? And when I thought about it, as in sat down and went through a process of, am I believing what other people are saying about me? And I went, well, on one hand I am, but on the other hand I'm not. So I went, what have I got to lose? Okay, if I start believing the people that are saying kind and caring things about me, what are the next 5 steps that's going to happen to me after that? Is it going to be a positive outcome or a negative? And at the time I didn't know. This is headed for 10 years ago. And then I went, well, if I continue to believe the negative thoughts, now with complex PTSD, we actually have automatic thoughts that keep us safe as well when we're kids. So we have to be willing to look at, is this an automatic thought that I need to reprogram in me as well? We've got to be willing to ask these questions. So what we need to do too is say, am I ready to heal from this thought? Am I ready to turn it around and not even know where we're going, but it could be a really healthy outcome for my life? Okay? How has this thought driven my behaviour? So if I'm believing all the negative Nellies that have been in my life, am I willing to believe the positive Pollies and start saying, okay, the negative Nellies don't make me feel good. They don't give me any hope or inspiration for a new day tomorrow, okay? But if I start believing the positive Pollies, have I got anything to lose from it? And the answer is no, we don't, okay? So I'm going to say, what is the behaviour that the negative Nellies have been driving? Well, what it is, it's been shutting me down. It's been saying, there's no hope for you. You're always going to be this way. You're always going to hurt people. You're always going to... what else? I'm trying to think of all the language that I used to have around it. You're never going to be good enough. That was one of my big things, that I would never be good enough. And no value, no worth. Okay? Good morning, Suzanne. So what behaviour does that drive? Well, for me, that behaviour was driving me to hide from the world, and to believe that I had nothing to contribute to the world. And over time, I realised that just wasn't the truth. We all have something to contribute to the world. And when I looked at that over time as well, even though I found it really, really hard to talk and to connect, what I did was do things that I could do without talking, but there was the non-verbal connection. So I'd go to church on a Sunday, and my friends at the time, well, they're still my friends, but they're just not at the same church. They ran the cafe. So what I do is just sit there and smile and take people's money for whatever they wanted on the lunch special. And it's a way of combating the negative Nelly instead of letting it win, okay? So if you were to take the negative Nelly and say, okay, I'm going to turn this into a positive Polly, and I'm going to use it in a way where I can even walk out the front door this morning and just give someone a smile, okay? And then we have to say, am I terrified to do that? And be real and raw and honest and say, oh, heck yeah. Because if I smile at someone, what does that mean? Does it mean that they think that they've got an open entrance door to my life, that I then have to pick up their pieces? And on it goes. So we have to be willing to do this. Good morning, Diana G. Yeah, our thoughts can drive our behaviour. Sorry, I'm just seeing all of your comment. And keep us stuck, absolutely. And also our thoughts can be a protective measure for our heart. Okay, so our heart comes out of our childhood deeply wounded. Pardon me. And then a lot of what happens in our gut is to protect what's happening, the pain in our heart that we haven't got language for, that we don't understand, that we're safe to breathe even, right, down to that level, that I'm safe to walk out the front door, that I'm safe to pursue a different way of life than I've been raised in. Okay, so I'm really pursuing a whole different life to how I was raised, okay? So it's not easy, but it's worth it. So what I've done this morning is put into the free resources a sheet of questions that we can ask ourselves and self-reflect on. And then we're going to say, if this thought is driving my behavior, where do I want to turn it around? Okay. Now, other activities that we can do to break this negative Nelly thought cycle is write in a gratitude journal. Now, this is the challenge for us with a gratitude journal. Most people who haven't experienced trauma can sit down and write what they're thankful for. Now, if we just do it from the thought process, yes, I'm thankful for the roof over my head, that I have a car to drive, and so on, and I am, but we can't feel it in our hearts because they're so broken, so we want our hearts to heal. So if we were to write and sit down and just feel in our heart center what we're grateful for, it begins to shift and show us that we're safe to experience feeling our heart again, okay? And that doesn't mean we're heartless, we're not. It's just we have a lot of protective barriers around it. Because life taught us that we weren't safe. We weren't safe to have those emotions, and then we didn't have the language for the emotions, and then we didn't know the process of those emotions as well. Diana said, not easy is an understatement, so much work. And it is. Look, we can't deny that there's a whole a ton of work to do, but when we do it together, we can laugh about it as well. And we can go, yeah, for me, this is my challenge today, that I've got to change these thoughts. And even last night, so I was up late and I'm like, I want to get up at 5 a.m. and go to gym, right? So I said, I don't really know what the story is that I'm telling myself that's stopping me from going to sleep so that I, like at a decent hour, so I get up on time. But I want to change the story up so I will go to sleep. So I went, what's the benefit of me going to gym early? And I went, well, I really have to think about this. And I went, well, the benefit is I get to feel good for most of the day. I get to be more productive. And by the end of the year, I get to be in the one next step of my life, of what I want to achieve. And all of a sudden, because I could feel how good that felt, it was like, bang, I went to sleep. All right? Because the bigger dream is more important, and we know that the today is building into where we want to go. Laura says, yes, and I even just speak 3 gratitudes out loud when I'm out and not near my desk. It changes my stinking thought patterns maybe. Yeah, I understand. And it's so powerful to be willing to speak it out loud because we've not used our voice nearly enough. Although I'm sure my voice gets used more than it did in the past. But still, you know, we've got to stop the stinking thinking as well, or the negative Nellies, and be willing to do this. Honestly, carve out some time for yourself every single day. I was talking to Nick yesterday about how I really don't manage time well. Like, I'm not good with the numbers of time. He's really good with math. And I said to him, I just need your help to put it in an order because I know what I want to do and I know what I want to achieve, but I can't seem to put it in an order. And time is math, okay? Sit me down and say, create a new workbook for this area, and I'll go, yep, done. We're here. We're making it happen. But yeah, so it's being willing to say, this is not what this is an area where I struggle, but can you please help me as well? Okay. All right. So there's more activities that we can do, and I want to let you know that one of the best things we can do is become a good listener to what's happening for us internally. And that way we begin to know ourselves really, really well. And when people come along and they have a different opinion of us, that's okay. But we're able to stand in, like, on a really firm, solid ground that says, no, that's not who I am. I know how that person sees me is not who I am, and I need to just keep going and taking my one next step. Get yourself a morning routine if you don't have one, because it helps us recognize when we're dissociating. Because if the morning routine goes by the by, then we have to go, right, am I dissociating? Has my brain gone into dissociation mode and I've not realized it? All right, it gives us really, really good, healthy things to ask. One of the big things we can do, put the phone down. Like, just put it down. No one needs us that urgently, and if they did, they can come round and find us, okay? Oh, I'm so sorry. 4 weeks, I'm telling you, 4 weeks and summer's over. Remember to practice your breathing, 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out, 6 times, 1 minute every day, and I guarantee it begins to change your life. That's how I started around about 7 years ago with the breathing, and it really does impact our ability to feel what's happening for us internally and to own it, and then it gives us power to break free from the cycle as well. Okay. Diana G says, our voice didn't matter before and we were told we didn't matter. And when I use my voice to say no, they hurt me. Anyways, so allowing myself to heal and change my thoughts is big. So do you do this for journaling? Absolutely. So you know your integrity and your process, that's going to help you find your one next step. Absolutely. And so grab the sheet from the free resources. I can't put it up on the phone, but I will put it up on the page straight after this, directly to the free resources, because this has got a whole bunch of questions we can ask ourselves. And it's so, so important what you've said, Diana, is that it allows us this healing space and allows us to have a voice where often in the beginning of our healing process we don't feel we have a voice. I started journaling before Josh was even born, so Josh will be 28 this year, and it was because I didn't have language. But every night I'd sit down and look, and I'd reflect on what were my thoughts today, how did I feel today, what did I wish I could have said, how do I want to go about saying it. And oftentimes we can end up in marriages where we don't have somebody who's willing to sit and help let us just process. As women, talking out loud is part of our process. So sometimes I'll say to the boys, listen, I just need you to listen. I don't need you to solve anything, but having you here is such a blessing, so I can process it, okay? Diana Z says, I have a reminder bell every hour on my watch. I'm assuming you have a reminder bell for gratitude? Let me know. Oh, I like that, Laura. If anyone really needs me, they can leave a message. Absolutely. The world's not, I was just about to say the world's not burning down, but I don't know that that's particularly sensitive because in Australia we've had so many bushfires. But for us, it's definitely, the whole world's not going to cave in if I put my phone down overnight. They know where I am, okay? People can find me. They're able to contact me. And I know I get up in the middle of the night and I can double check if my daughter needs me, okay? But I know that she's safe and everything's fine. One of the things I do now is on the iPhone, it's got a bedtime in the alarm section. It's got a bedtime routine thing that you can set up for yourself, and it's been really good. I'm still not in the full habit of it, but it lets you know, it's time to get ready for bed. It lets me know, it doesn't put any notifications up on my phone until I look at it the next morning, which stops me looking at my phone in the middle of the night, and then I build a conscious awareness around, am I going to choose to look at this phone and stay awake for another half an hour, or am I just going to go back to sleep knowing that everything's okay? All right. So it's a good thing to develop. If you've got an Android, let me know if you've got a similar thing. It's a good thing for us to have now that our phone is, it's our mini computer. It's not just a phone, it's a mini computer where we do a lot of our work. And I know for me, a lot of my work is online as well. Okay, so I'll leave you with that this morning, but let me know how you go overnight, just taking the one next step. Go into the free resources, download it, and let me know what was the one activity that you chose to break your cycle for the next 24 hours, okay? So we're only looking at the next 24 hours, and I will ask you again tomorrow morning, what did you do to break the cycle, and what thought over the next 24 hours? So what thought did you choose to work on when you went and asked your questions? Okay, thanks. Thanks for joining in, lovely ladies. It's wonderful to have you here. I want you to remember, above and beyond everything else, you are loved and you are needed here, okay? The world needs your contribution as well. Have the most wonderful day or evening, and I will see you first thing tomorrow morning, which is Friday. Yay! Bye for now.